CNN saw this morning and I wanted to bring it up, but I was waiting around in the afternoon. Um, but new video analysis of multiple angles, and they were frantically searching for the gun after they shot him, even though they knew they disarmed him, and potentially tried to plant the gun back on him after.
Federal immigration officers fatally shot a man Saturday in Minneapolis. He was an ICU nurse who worked at a local Veteran Affairs hospital. Another controversial killing by U.S. immigration agents, and the second U.S. citizen killed this month. CNN analyzed cell phone footage from multiple angles. Taken together, they appear at odds with the Department of Homeland Security's initial claims about the leader.
They appear at odds. I know I didn't really mention this yesterday. I think it was because I was just like so appalled yesterday by everything, but the way that the Democrats and the news have been framing this as like, oh, we're at odds with, or we need to work together to make this better. We need to work together to make this peaceful. Call them out. Call them out for lying. Say they're lying. Say they're trying to take over the city. Stop doing this pathetic bullshit. It's insanely disappointing. And I hate being disappointed in Tim Walz. Call them for what it is. Stop acting like these are just a few agents that are going rogue, or that Trump doesn't have a direct input on this.
Step to officers firing on Alex Preddy. Around 9 a.m. Central, video captures two people approaching a federal immigration officer in front of an unidentified vehicle. The sound of whistles is blaring in the background. Alex Preddy enters the frame here. He's filming an officer interacting with protesters and waving a car through. 15 seconds later, Preddy yells, in their statement, DHS said that an individual approached officers with, quote, a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. This video seems to show officers approaching Preddy instead of the other way around. We'll see later that Preddy does appear to have had a gun in his waistband, but this video shows he didn't have a gun in his hand, only a phone. Video from this white car shows an up-close angle of a federal immigration officer pushing one protester. Then, 3 seconds later, he pushes Preddy, and then as the camera comes into focus, you see the same federal officer push a third protester with the orange backpack. Preddy raises his hand and turns away, just as the officer sprays him with a chemical irritant. You see Preddy and the other protester trying to help the person with the orange backpack. You can see here an officer pulling Preddy off of this person. 3 more officers join, and then 2 more. Preddy is on the ground under them. One officer in a tan beanie can be seen repeatedly striking Preddy's head with a metal can.
Yeah, and this is always saw yesterday.
An officer in a gray jacket walk into the frame. There isn't a gun in his hand. Seconds later, officers shout. The officer removes a gun from Preddy's belt. The officer steps away from the scene carrying a firearm, seen here in his right hand. Then, gunfire. At least 10 shots ring out. We looked back at the scene from different
genuinely
angles
fucking
and slowed
disgusting
down the footage. This officer, wearing a black beanie, can be seen drawing his firearm and pointing it in Preddy's direction. We can't see his gun when the first shot is fired, but we can see that this officer fired the second shot. In this angle, you see a second officer also had his gun drawn, and here, he's pointing his weapon at Preddy as we hear gunshots, though it isn't clear if he's the one firing.
Every single one of these people need to get sentenced to, like, genuinely put in prison for the rest of their lives and rot. All of them deserve to rot.
Did they kill that guy?
Preddy collapses onto the ground as the officers scatter backwards from around him. The same agent in the black beanie from earlier can be seen firing 5 final shots as Preddy lies there, motionless. Nobody approached his body for 24 seconds. When officers do return to Preddy, they appear to begin searching his body. Video shows that about a minute after Preddy collapsed, immigration officers ask for medical support. When CNN asked DHS about the officer removing the gun before the shooting, DHS repeated their earlier statement, quote, Officers attempted to disarm the suspect, but the armed suspect violently resisted.
They're just lying. Call them out for fucking lying, please. And like, even AP News is not like, Surge fuels more calls for immigration agents to leave. No, they are murdering people directly. They are going out and harassing and assaulting and attacking people. ICE officers get off on this shit. They get a fucking hard on for this shit. Republicans are not talking about guns right now, but now they're like, oh, violent extremists, but also they will never call for a gun reform law. Except for like in cases with the Black Panthers. Trump to the Democratic governor and the mayor inciting insurrection with their promptus. Statement Barack Obama, heartbreaking tragedy. Many of our core values as a nation are increasingly under assault. He urged the administration to work with the city. Stop saying this fucking narrative. That if the administration just works with the city, things will get better. It's not going to get better. It is only going to continue to get worse until we have a solid defensible position for Minnesota. What I would say that they need to do is take National Guard servicemen and have them protect protesters. Push ICE out of the city. It's fucking irritating how pathetic they are answering this murder. There must be a full joint federal and state investigation. We can trust the American people with the truth. Yeah, there's no way the approval rating for the administration is tanking violently. And any Republican who is in favor of Trump is losing favorability faster and faster and faster. Difficult moment for our country. We call for peace and focused cooperation. Stop. We are not like the federal government. This isn't like, oh, one ICE agent. The federal government directly wanted this to happen. Then you'll just increase the chance of shooting. It's going to happen, but you have the right to protest. That's okay. But when you're actively putting yourself in front of agents like that, especially undertrained one, you're asking for trouble in bad, questionable shoots. Disagreed, Sir Bursky. Like, the federal administration, when Trump got elected, they wanted this to happen. JD Vance, Kristi Noem, Trump, they are all good for this. We need to stop treating ICE as if they're rational actors. They know that they're undertrained. It's a purposeful choice to undertrain ICE. Two suspects that assault, delay, obstruct. Well, they're already de-escalating it, or bringing it down from domestic terrorist to suspects. And then JD Vance walked back, calling Renee Good a domestic terrorist, saying it was an accident. Try to do an extrajudicial law enforcement on our streets, then force them out. You're the governor of Minnesota. Insisted Minnesota is not refusing to enforce the law, but a clear line of cooperating with what he said at a federal overreach. Accusing her of mischaracterizing the state's actions. We're not going to do your job for you. We have other things we need to do. Stop working with ICE completely. Just block them off at every entrance. Make their life way more difficult.
This federal occupation, and it's sickening. Minnesota's justice system will have the last word on this. It must have the last word. As I told the White House in no uncertain terms this morning, the federal government cannot be trusted to lead this investigation. The state will handle it, period. Well, as I said last week, this federal occupation of Minnesota long ago stopped being a matter of immigration.
It was never about immigration enforcement.
Resolved.
Here, this is what I wanted to find. There we go.
Whether it was outdoor activities or being down there on the street as a First Amendment witness to what ICE is doing to this state. So once again, to Michael and Susan, when I talk to these parents, it's always in deep confidential conversation. In this one, though, Michael was very clear to me. He said, don't let them forget Alex's story. The world knows how he died. He died at the hands of ICE agents on the streets of Minneapolis. They want us to make sure we said how he lived. So to Michael and Susan, our deepest sympathies, but you have my commitment to continue to tell that story. So now we've got 2 Minnesotans dead. We didn't had time to
Murdered.
start telling Renee's story of a poet and a mother and a bright spirit, and now we're telling Alex's story. So my question is, what's the plan, Donald Trump? What is the plan? What do we need to do to get these federal agents out of our state? You thought fear, violence, and chaos is what you wanted from us?
Stop acting like Trump will ever take them out unless you force them out.
And you clearly underestimated the people of this state and nation. We are tired, but we're resolved. We're peaceful, but we'll never forget. We're angry, but we won't give up hope. And above all else, we are clearly unified. If it was the intention of Donald Trump to make an example of Minnesota, then I'm damn proud of the example that the world's seeing. We believe in law and order in this state. We believe in peace. And we believe that Donald Trump needs to pull these 3,000 untrained agents out of Minnesota before they kill another person. And we're up here telling another story of a Minnesotan just trying to live
Then do it.
their life without the interference. To Americans who are watching this right now, and I don't know, maybe you're watching it with curiosity, bewilderment, horror, scorn, or sympathy. I've got a question for all of you. What side do you want to be on? The side of an all-powerful federal government that can kill, injure, menace, and kidnap its citizens off the streets? Or on the side of a nurse at the VA hospital who died bearing witness to such government? Or the side of a mother whose last words were, "I'm not mad at you"? The side of tens of thousands of peaceful citizens who showed up to march when the wind chill was 40 below because they love this state and they love this country. You're allowed to decide at any point that you're not with this anymore. If you voted for this administration, heck, even if you thought Operation Metro Surge was a good idea, sounded like the thing to do a month ago, you're still allowed to look at what's happening here in Minnesota and say, this isn't what I voted for and this isn't what I want. I ask you not to stand by idly. Speak out, share what you're seeing, and urge others to put politics aside. We're no longer having a political debate. We're having a moral debate.
No, this is still politics. This is
We all
still a
want
political
secure
debate.
borders and immigration enforcement that prioritizes criminals. And I want to thank the press, especially
That is what's so frustrating.
the local press, who has done a deep dive to show that's exactly what Minnesota does.
Stop trying to be play the centrist view here.
But what you're seeing is not common sense, lawful, or humane enforcement.
It doesn't convince anybody that you're serious about this.
That's not what this occupation is about. Let me say our conversation should not be about, and I know we get asked of what we're doing on there, how many state patrol or police or National Guard I can put on the street. This isn't about how many people I can put on the street. It's about how many of these people, these ICE agents and whoever else was thrown into this unholy mess, how many Donald Trump can get out of here. Minnesotans, you've won the hearts and minds of people across this country, and you've done it through your peaceful, resolved defense of your neighbors and the Constitution. So once again, Minnesotans, stay peaceful, stay safe. Change is coming, and we can feel it. But this fight still goes on, and I'm just glad today to be joined in person because it's someone who's been at the side of Minnesotans throughout this and through every other thing we've gone through over the last 7 years. Someone who we describe as the people's lawyer, someone who is fighting this battle for the Constitution, for the safety of Minnesotans in courts every single day. I want to give this over to Attorney General Keith Ellison to talk a little bit about what's going on with the state on some of the lawsuits and what our expectations are in the coming days. Attorney General.
Thank you, Governor. Governor Walz, thank you for your excellent leadership during this very, very difficult time. This unprecedented time, Governor, because quite honestly, there's never been a deployment of immigration agents this size in the history of the United States. There have been times in American history where they've deported a lot of people, but a concentrated deployment of ICE agents in one state in one period of time is unprecedented. And therefore, there's no playbook. And therefore, nobody knows exactly how to deal with this situation, but it is unique and particularly puzzling, given that Minnesota does not have the highest immigration in the United States, given that
It's so frustrating because as Trump was getting elected, it was so obvious that he wanted to do this from the get-go. This was always the playbook they were going to run with. And they're acting as if, oh, why is this happening? You know why this is happening? Fucking say it.
people work for. Given all of that, this is a very curious situation. The demand for their papers, to have to show their papers in America. We've had door-to-door knocks where people have their homes barged into without. It is a novel abuse of the Constitution that we're looking at right now. No one can remember a time when we've seen something like this, when a state can marshal facts to show that our targeting is not based on excessive amounts of undocumented immigrants or anything like that, but we're targeted because of politics, which violates our First Amendment rights. The 10th Amendment, which we are entitled as a thing, legal recourse, and if they disobey a court order, then that's on them. But we're going to seek those orders, and we're going to insist that they be followed.
Local sheriffs have said they lack the legal authority to honor ICE detainers, and that's something that Attorney General Ellison has said as well. They lack the authority under Minnesota law. Is that an authority you could just give them? Could you pass a law?
So really, the key issue here is I think most sheriffs in the state do fully honor ICE detainers and provide notification. The issue becomes when they have a lawful reason to be released, bail, released by judicial order. The jail cannot hold that person beyond that point in time. That's the fundamental issue. There is not a lack of cooperation. There is just some legal boundaries. We've had some conversations with ICE about this. We think that there may be some things that could be worked out, but I don't think that's the core issue that we're really dealing with here.
Can I simply say that it puts Minnesota in a very difficult position, because if such a person were held beyond a period of time when the state court has the authority to hold them, then the state court is exposing itself to liability. So ICE just has to show up and do its job.
That's the fundamental question. And that's the fundamental argument they keep making. We cooperate. We don't do their job. You saw it this week with rural, conservative Cottonwood County. Sheriff had someone, told them this person's time is done. We can't just hold them indefinitely. It's against the law. So we're going to release this guy. Come and get him. They're too busy up here doing what they did yesterday to go pick up someone who actually should be removed from this country. And I don't know how many times they try and confuse the people across this country. It's
But it's fair of why he brings it up. We've never seen this happen. Sledgehammer approach to issue every administration has been hot potato for the last 80 years. Obama was ironically enough was the toughest on immigration pre-Trump. Yeah, and I didn't like Obama for it. And I think Obama was not a great guy. Like, I don't like Obama.
their job to do immigrations and customs enforcement.
He was far too centrist on far too many issues.
To do law enforcement in Minnesota. They are not doing immigration enforcement, saying we should be doing that, while they're apparently now trying to do extrajudicial law enforcement on our streets. So this is a red herring. It's untrue. The Attorney General of the United States put falsehoods into a letter she sends to me that we are doing what's asked of us, but we're not going to do your job for you. We have other things we need to do.
How concerned are you, getting back to the evidence in the Freddie case, that you might not get access to his camera footage?
The AG here seems like a little frustrated with the way that the questions that they're being asked, the untruthful questions that the news organizations know are untrue.
And that you might not get to the bottom of whether he was carrying an ID or not.
I am deeply concerned about the preservation of evidence, which is why we went to court last night. But I have faith in Judge Tonsrud's order that it will be followed. And I can tell you that I don't know why. Minnesota.
Why do we have faith that these orders will be followed by the federal government?
As a prosecutor, I am not allowed to say what the final outcome is going to be. We have to get the evidence and find out. But if you're asking me, Tom, if I'm concerned, you better believe I am concerned. But look, they've got the order. Now they're going to defy the court if they don't follow it.
You met with Vice President Vance when he was in town on Thursday, I understand.
I did. Can
you tell us about what the tenor of that meeting was? His goal was to turn down the temperature. 2 days later, there was the shooting.
Well, I guess it didn't work, huh? I mean, here's the thing. Governor Wallace and I were in Congress together for 12 years before both of us went to go serve in state government. We're used to talking to these folks. Why not see if there's something that can be arrived at? I can tell you that it was a polite meeting. I can also tell you that I walked out of there thinking that we probably weren't going to get anywhere. Because quite honestly, a few hours late, not even hours, a few minutes later, he just got up there and just articulated the same talking points he made to me in the meeting. I tried to correct him. He didn't want to hear that. And so I'm like, well, welcome to Minnesota. Thank you very much. You both of us have things to do. So see you later. And I left. It was cordial enough, but it was not fruitful. But look, I just think that, and I'm sure the governor agrees, if you can try to talk to somebody sensibly, we do. But that one didn't get where we had hoped.
Yeah, Lauren Gurley here from the Washington Post. Do you know if the federal agents who were directly around Freddie during the time of the shooting are still out on the street in the Twin Cities or anywhere else in Minnesota? Any of them?
Don't know. They don't talk to us. They don't tell us. They don't.
With the BCA being denied access to the scene after getting a warrant, is there recourse for them that way, or do you feel that this restraining order that you obtained requiring the federal government to preserve evidence is that recourse?
So there are certain legal strategy decisions that I'm not at liberty to just go on about in a meeting like this one. What I can tell you is that both the warrant and the TRO are evidence of our resolve. And we are going to get to the truth of what happened to Mr. Alex Preddy.
He's beloved by community, no criminal record. Trump flag, you're a libertarian, don't tread on me. You're a democratic socialist of America. This is an inflection point, America. If we cannot all agree that the smearing of an American citizen and besmirching everything they stood for and asking us not to believe what we saw, I don't know what else to tell you. This has to be the moment. Your government, here in Minnesota, I've made it clear, I'm accountable for things that happen here, and I will take responsibility for that. Someone has to be accountable. Someone has to hold the final decision on this. And sitting behind a keyboard at 2 a.m. and besmirching a VA nurse and a son and a coworker and a friend is despicable beyond all description. This is not, we need to see both sides. This is not, we need to wait for this. This is basic human decency. And at this point in time, I'm just asking, try for a moment to set aside the political side of it and go back and ground in the humanity of this. This family has gone through enough, and to have the most powerful man in the world drag their dead son with absolutely no evidence and gaslight the entire country, this is enough. And I would say, President Trump, you can end this today. Pull these folks back. Do humane, focused, effective immigration control. You've got the support of all of us to do that. Let our law enforcement continue to do what they do, making Minnesota one of the safest states in the country.
Talking to Trump, like Trump will listen or like have an epiphany, like, oh, well, maybe I'll take them out now. It's not going to happen. Stop, dude. This won't work. You have to be aggressive in fighting fascism. Your words are one thing. You have to put actions behind them. Otherwise, this does absolutely nothing.
Country, one of the best places to live. Allow our children to go back to school. We have got children in Minnesota hiding in their houses, afraid to go outside. Many of us grew up reading that story of Anne Frank. Somebody's going to write that children's story about Minnesota. And there's one person who can end this now. And I'll go back to it again. Please show some decency, pull these folks out, reset this situation, and allow us to do the job that the Attorney General, myself, were elected to do, protect the people of Minnesota and carry out the laws of Minnesota. We'll be back with you when we get more information.
It was so close there. It was so close. It's so frustrating. It's so fucking frustrating. Because it looks so weak. It looks so pathetic. To be trying to speak to Trump as if Trump is going to actually listen. We know he's not going to. Wallace, you know he's not going to. It's increasingly frustrating watching Democrats fumble